Hi, this is Kathy Kruger.
And this is Jonah Treebwasser.
Welcome to another edition of Radio Rotary, sponsored by local Rotarians, your friends dedicated to service.
Each week we chat with your neighbors about great things happening in your community and around the world. People sharing ways to improve your life.
And Jonah, today we'll be talking with Rotarian Sean Slevin about Swim Strong.
Well, Rotarian Sean Slevin, welcome to Radio Rotary.
Oh, thank you so much, Jonah and Kathy. It's wonderful to be with you.
So tell us, what exactly is Swim Strong?
Swim Strong Foundation is a 501c3 not-for-profit located downstate in New York City, but serving not only New York State, U.S., and globally. Our mission is to reduce unintended drowning and water-based accidents, and we do that in 3 ways: by being in the pool and teaching the actual swimming skills. And we've done that with more than 10,900 people thus far.
Wow.
We've given more than $1.7 million in free swim lessons to families that needed that help.
What was that number again? 1.7 million?
$1.7 million in free swim lessons,
Wow.
Yes. And then also, since Superstorm Sandy, which hit us back in October, November of 2012, we have developed an educational program called Know, K-N-O-W, Before You Go. And this looks at situational knowledge of water. And you may ask, what's that?
Yeah.
Everything except swimming. It is a challenge to all of us, swim skilled or not, to think of water more broadly from an environmental and climate point of view, not a recreational one. And then the third piece of our work, I should tell you, we've reached about 55,000 students
Wow.
in schools with that program. And that's what I'm going to be asking for our fellow Rotarians for some help with to get this programming in their schools as well.
Well, this is a multifaceted program.
It
This
sure
is just
is.
fantastic. So
We
you're
are.
going to give us some more.
And
Tell us more about it.
One last leg
Mhm.
is that we initiate and advocate for legislation to build an aquatic culture here across New York State.
Wow.
Can I
That's
ask
a-
what
that's
do you
quite
mean
a
by
handful.
aquatic culture? It kind of, yeah.
It encompasses quite a lot of things. It encompasses infrastructure. So I think upstate has many more pools,
Mhm.
for example, where you can teach swimming skills than we do downstate here. And so we're advocating for more pools everywhere across the state. And Governor Hochul's new New York's Swims initiative will be putting some money actually towards that. So that's a little bit of
Yeah.
us pushing on that too. That's one example. So it's the infrastructure, it's the education, such as the legislation that I wrote, which is to incorporate water safety into our schools' curriculum. Again, because climate action is bringing so much more water into our daily lives, we can no longer avoid it. And we need to lean in and understand it so that we can all safely navigate.
Well,
Those are two
Sean
examples.
Slevin of Swim Strong, before we get into actual swimming lessons and, ocean safety, pool safety, you talk
Sure.
about water safety. It drives me crazier than I normally am when I see people in a boat without wearing a life vest. All right.
Mhm.
Oh, baby.
This was ingrained to me in Boy Scout camp as a Boy Scout leader. You don't go near the canoe, the kayak, or boat without the orange life vest.
Yeah, me too when I was little. Yeah.
What we tend to disregard is that the life jacket is there to protect us when we cannot protect ourselves. And I'll give you an example that happened to me. So I used to sail on a lake, not a very big lake, so it didn't have, too much current, but it had enough wind for small sailing boats. And I was a lifeguard at the time. And so because of my hubris, I often would not wear the life jacket.
Mm.
But one day I was going out with a friend and the weather was somewhat changeable. And I said, maybe we should take those jackets today.
Yeah.
And we did. We not only took them, we wore them. And that saved my life that day, because what happened is the wind picked up and the boom came around at such an unexpected speed. It caught me at the back of the head and it knocked me unconscious and off the boat.
Yeah, it would. Oh my gosh.
And so my buddy was able to grab me by the life jacket to bring me back on the boat.
Wow.
Would not have happened otherwise. I wouldn't be here today.
Right, right.
You know, the last two cruises my wife and I took, used to be, you'd put on the life jacket, you'd all muster by the lifeboat, your assigned lifeboat, and everyone's wearing a life jacket, and you got to meet other people. It's kind of a social thing, but you knew what was going on. Now they just have you watch a video. I don't think that's such a hot idea.
Yeah, I think you should put the jacket on.
Right.
And so you know exactly what you're doing before you have to do it when you're terrified, if something happens. Yeah.
Our guest on Radio Rotary is Rotarian Sean Slevin. We're talking about Swim Strong, water safety.
I have a question, just to get us rolling again on teaching. What do you suggest is the earliest age to start learning how to either swim or just to have an appreciation, love, respect for the water?
Well, some would argue that we learn in the womb.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I'm a labor and delivery nurse. So yes, those babies have been swimming around for 9 months.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so there's also been a resurgence of water births, right? The birthing tubs, right? And so as our children are transitioning out of our womb into, some might argue, a less kind environment, right? So we want to keep them attached to the water. But what I would say to you is whenever you acclimatize your infants to water, please, within hand's reach of that child at all times, never, ever, ever leave a child unattended. Just for a moment. We're all guilty of it, but in that moment can be the loss of life. Right. And what a tragedy that you'll never
even
recover.
In a bathtub, the
Absolutely.
little chairs that they sit in when they're infants and all of that. And I hear so many tragic stories of things that happen, like you said, in a matter of seconds.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out more about swim safety and water safety from our terrific guest, Rotarian Sean Slevin, right after Kathy Kruger tells us who keeps us afloat by sponsoring Radio Rotary this week.
Well, Jonah, Radio Rotary is sponsored by NBT Bank, Third Eye Associates, Rise Online Marketing Strategies, Art by Trebe at Etsy, and by the Rotary Clubs of Brewster, Carmel, Goshen, Highland, Hyde Park, Kingston, Liberty, Millbrook, Nanuet, Greater Newburgh, and New City, New York.
We'll be back with more Radio Rotary right after these important messages, so stay tuned.
Hi, this is Allison, the artist behind Art by Trebe on Etsy. I create original landscapes and floral paintings. If you're looking for vibrant artwork to brighten your walls, greeting cards to spread a little joy, and beautiful vinyl stickers to decorate your space, visit etsy.shop/ARTBYTRIEB. That's Art by Trebe on Etsy. Bring home something beautiful today.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
You're listening to Magic 92.5 WGHQ, and there's more of this week's Radio Rotary Show coming up.
Hi, I'm Meg Mullins from the Mark Foundation, supporting the Mid-Hudson addiction recovery community. Our mission is prevention of and recovery from substance misuse. Among our projects, we fund scholarships for therapists, transitions from community housing, and the Overdose Awareness Memorial located on the Dutchess County Rail Trail. Visit our website at mark-foundation.org to learn more or to make a donation.
What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Subscribe to the Radio Rotary podcast and never miss an episode. We are on every popular podcast platform, including iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Subscribe to the Radio Rotary podcast today. Welcome back to Radio Rotary. This is Jonah Tribuasa. With me is Kathy Kruger, and she's going to take a deep dive into the topic of swim safety with our terrific guest who she's about to introduce. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're having a great conversation with Rotarian Sean Slevin, and I just love the whole name Swim Strong of the foundation. I think it's just wonderful, and she's talking to us about the importance of swim safety, but more importantly, I want to say environmental is what she's focusing on. So I'm learning as I go here. So this is great.
So Sean, welcome back to part 2 of Radio Rotary. And for those who may have tuned in late, give us a recap. What is Swim Strong?
So we are a 501c3 not-for-profit, and our mission is to reduce unintended drowning and water-based accidents. We do it in 3 ways: by providing the actual swimming skills, by providing education around situational knowledge of water, which is really that environmental and climate focus, not recreational focus, and legislation to build an aquatic culture here in New York State.
Now, give us a little background as to just how big a problem water safety is. I know you have some very sobering statistics that you want to share with our audience.
I do. I think you'll be shocked to see just how pernicious and prevalent a problem this is. So did you know that a person dies due to drowning every 70 seconds on a global basis?
Wow.
That in the U.S., drowning is the leading cause of death for children under the age of 5 and those on the autism spectrum. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's important, because when I was taking my nursing boards and in nursing school, that was the one thing. It's on a question on my boards, and it was something they pounded into us when I was taking pediatrics, was that statistic. I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah,
no worries.
It's huge, right?
It's the second leading cause of death for children under the age of 14.
Under the age of 14, you said?
Correct.
Okay.
In the communities of color. So communities of color with children's drowning rates, they are actually dying 5 times more in swimming pools, 3 times more in open water settings than their Caucasian peers.
Is that because maybe they're not able to take the swimming lessons aren't available to them as
There is a history that we probably should have another program.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
But in more current days, it's affordability and access.
That's what I was heading towards.
For all of us.
For all of us. Right.
And the really the biggest shock is that 95% of these tragedies never had to happen at all. They were totally preventable.
So what is it that Swim Strong does to prevent these tragedies? Share with our audience.
Is in our education, our Know Before You Go programming, which really addresses water from inside our homes to everywhere we meet it out of doors, around the seasons, and with the onslaught of climate action.
Mm-hmm. This would include safety in the bathtub for children. You know, the phone rings and mom runs to get it, or dad runs to get it and leaves the child alone in the bathtub. They can drown in just a few inches of water, right?
Drowning at home is a huge issue. In the United States, we lose between 400 to 500 of our babies every year.
Wow.
Drownings in our home. This should be low-hanging fruit, but most of us don't have a context for managing the risk of water at home. We do about electrical. We know that we don't want our babies putting their fingers in the electric socket, so we buy those little plastic sleeves that you can put over the electric socket. We do know that we don't want our babies playing with the knives, so we lock the knife drawer. So we have context of safety in home, but just not water, and that's where we can bring that to bear.
Now would be a terrific time for you to give us your website,
Right.
which is chock full of information for everyone about water safety. What's the website? And folks at home, get a pencil and paper because Sean Slavin will repeat this in the third portion of the program. What's the website, Sean?
So it's www.swim, S-W-I-M, strong, S-T-R-O-G, foundation.org.
One more time.
Swim, strong, foundation.org.
And folks at home, get a pencil and paper. Sean Slavin, our great guest, will repeat that in the next portion of the program. Let's take a little bit of a detour. You are a Rotarian, Sean.
Yeah.
What club do you belong to?
So I am a proud member of the Global Water Safety and Drowning Prevention Club, which is an international club located in Brisbane, Australia. Our district is 9620, and we're a new club. We're chartered in 2022, and we are a cause-based club. And frankly, one of the challenges that I've had is getting fellow Rotarians' attention to our work, because for the most part, we are preventative in nature.
Mm-hmm. So I assume you meet on Zoom. You don't run off to Brisbane, Australia every week.
We do, although I did go to conference this year in Singapore. So
Good for you.
Yes.
Well, if you go to the Calgary conference, where we'll be bringing our Radio Rotary microphones to cover the conference, we hope to meet you there. But if you're not in the Brisbane, Australia area, but still want to join the fun, the food, and fellowship of Rotary, go to Rotary.org, Rotary.org. Click on the club locator button, type in your hometown, and find out when your local Rotary Club meets, and meet great people like Rotarian Sean Slavin, who has devoted herself to water safety through Swim Strong. Kathy.
Yeah, and Sean, we've talked a lot about, unfortunately, the preventable deaths is what I would like to call them at home with our children. But then again, we have the deaths that occur. You are talking a lot about environment. We have so many more floods and hurricanes and people still drowning because they're driving their cars through water that they shouldn't be. I mean, is that what you're meaning by environment, because of what's going on now in our climate, with all the horrible storms we have? And
so I believe that actually you upstate, and particularly in the Hudson Valley, you've got a lot of water.
Yes.
Where you are, and you have actually a culture of water as it relates to managing flooding from the runoff of ice and snow in the spring. You also have a culture of managing ice.
Yes.
Neither of which we have downstate here. Okay, so you're better prepared to deal with this. But even so, it's coming at us with more rapidity. It's coming at us with more strength and force. And so still, all of us need to understand how to navigate all of this better as we move forward in our lives.
And we're going to find out more about water safety from the great Rotarian Sean Slavin of Swim Strong right after these messages, so stay tuned.
Hi, this is Beth Jones of Third Eye Associates Limited, providing life planning, financial transition planning, and wealth management strategies to help you integrate your life and your money. We are a fee-only registered investment advisory firm with offices in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Red Hook, New York. Contact us to see how you can put Third Eye to work for you. ThirdEyeAssociates.com, or call us at 845-752-2216.
Hi, I'm Krista Hines, Executive Director of Hudson River Housing, a local nonprofit dedicated to helping communities in the Mid-Hudson Valley thrive. We believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to live in safe and affordable housing. No matter what your housing concern may be, you can count on us for assistance. Maybe you're looking to buy your first home and don't know where to start, or possibly seeking an affordable apartment to rent for you and your family. Or perhaps you found yourself in need of safe and supportive shelter with a compassionate team committed to helping you overcome the challenges of homelessness. We're here to help every step of the way. Please visit us online at hudsonriverhousing.org or call us today at 845-454-5176. Again, that number, 845-454-5176.
You're listening to Magic 92.5 WGHQ, and there's more of this week's Radio Rotary show coming up.
Don't let mental health stigma keep you from living your best life. This is Andrew O'Grady from MHA of Dutchess County, and there is help. Did you know that 25% of the population deal with anxiety or depression? That's a lot of people. You're not alone. If you have the flu, you would call your doctor. Let's start doing the same when it comes to your mental health. It's time to get on the path to mental wellness. Contact Mental Health America of Dutchess County at 845-473-2500. Let us help you live your best life.
Hi, this is Kathy Kruger, producer of Radio Rotary. If you are listening now, so are your customers. You can advertise on Radio Rotary for as little as $25 per week. Call me, Kathy Kruger, at 845-702-4410 for full details, or email me at info@radiorotary.org. That's info@radiorotary.org.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved today at rotary.org/action.
Welcome back to Radio Rotary. This is Jonah Treebwasser, and with me is our producer and co-host, the effervescent Kathy Kruger, and she's going to introduce our guest. Kathy?
Thank you, Sean. This is great. We are talking with Rotarian Sean Slevin, and she's been talking to us about Swim Strong, which is just a marvelous foundation that we should all know about, and many schools should be part of. I'll just start with that. How does that sound?
Sounds great to me, Kathy.
So, Sean, when people think water safety, first comes to mind is they heard about a kid drowning or nearly drowning in a family pool, or they see on the newspaper a tragedy at a beach. What's more dangerous from a statistical point of view, the family pool or the ocean?
Gosh, I'm not sure I have the direct answer. My gut tells me it's going to be the pool.
Right.
Because more people will be swimming in pools.
Uh-huh.
I'm still more fear of ocean, but don't hold me to it.
Right. When you say ocean, I'm still amazed during storms and the rip tides, and people still will go out swimming in these because they want to catch the waves or whatever. And and then I hear the tragedies, and it's just so terrifying and scary. But
especially, after the season, they've got big signs saying, no lifeguard, swim at your own risk.
Right.
Really? Don't go in without a lifeguard.
Yeah.
The lifeguard really is our layer of protection. It's our safety net.
Yes.
And let me also say this to you. So it's no longer enough to look out the window, see it's a beautiful day, know it's a hot day, and say, okay, we're going to go to the beach, whether that's the ocean or the lakefront, wherever that is. Now we have to know, particularly as it relates to ocean water, what's happening 1,500 miles away in the Caribbean.
Right.
Because those storms that are forming there, are affecting our rip currents here on our beaches.
No kidding.
Most people are not trained to know what a rip current looks like. So when we do go to the beach, we want to get to our lifeguard and ask them, what's going on in the water today? They can tell us about the temperature, across, lateral, and rip currents. They can tell us what's going on under the surface of the water, the topography. So what do I mean by that? Well, is there a sandbar? And a note about sandbars. Yeah. Those are not fixed items. Those are situations that are formed and destroyed by the current, okay? So don't go onto a sandbar thinking that you're going to be safe, because it will eventually fall out from under you. Right? There could be a boulder there. There could be a drop-off. If you're downstate here, as I am, in the Rockaways, by Beach 9th Street and going out, the Army Corps of Engineers actually dredged a huge trench to allow ships to leave Long Beach and Atlantic Beach to get out into the ocean. On low tide, you could just walk out and all of a sudden, boom, down you go. And it's deep, all right? So you wouldn't even know that it was there. So the lifeguard knows.
Yeah. Speaking of lifeguards and Rockaways, many Rockaways are my own stomping ground. My wife and I grew up there, and I was a lifeguard there. And in those days, it wasn't like today you swim with the dolphins. In those days, you swam with the dinosaurs. Our guest on Radio Rotary is Rotarian Sean Slevin, talking about Swim Strong, water safety for everyone, especially for your kids. And as I said in the first section of the show, you're going on a boat, wear that orange life vest. You know, really, it drives me crazy when I see people out there.
Coast Guard certified life jackets are the key. No flotation devices. Anything that you have to blow up will deflate.
Yeah,
and
those
there's nothing
swimmies.
worse. Two things. There's nothing worse than the child getting traumatized because they expect to be held up and then all of a sudden they're not.
Yeah.
And the parents who may not be watching as closely because they believe that the child is safe because they're wearing toys. They are toys.
Yes.
They are not safety devices.
Right.
And as far as parents are watching, my own son has a pool in his backyard where he lives in Rochester, and he watches the kids like a hawk. They are under strict orders. First of all, he's got a lock on the gate, and they're under strict orders. You don't go near that gate or the pool unless there's an adult present at all times.
Or even at the beach too. You don't go near the water, without your parent or somebody with you holding your hand or something for a little child. And,
Let me address parties.
Parties, yes.
Let me just make a quick addressment about this. So when you have children in a pool, there should always be a designated adult as a water watcher. That's even if you have a lifeguard at that pool during your party. The water watcher is specifically eyes on the children in the water with no distraction, no beverage, no food, no conversation, nothing. Eyes on the children. Every 20 minutes, that adult swaps out with another adult who takes their place. This way, everybody enjoys the party, but those children, while anybody is in the water, has an extra dedicated pair of eyes on those children.
Wonderful.
It's funny you should say that because my grandchildren, my other set of grandchildren who live out in Massachusetts, they go to a big swim instruction day in a gigantic Olympic-sized pool, and they have teenagers, who are lifeguards, and they switched off every 15 to 20 minutes, and I didn't understand why. Now you've explained it.
Yeah.
But they watched them like hawks. They never took their eyes off, and they kept patrolling up and down and, scanning the area. No chit-chat, none of that other stuff. So, Sean Slevin, what's your desire? If I gave you a magic wand and you could do anything you want for water safety, what do you think the message is that you want to share with our listeners? What's the most important message?
In terms of my fellow Rotarians, I would ask that you reach out to me directly at Sean.Slevin, SHAWN, S for Sam, LEV as in Victor, IN as in Nancy, at swimstrongfoundation.org to invite me to speak to your school leadership as to how this programming can come into your schools. That's number one. I'd also invite you as fellow Rotarians to join our club as a friend. For a nominal fee of $75 US, you can become a friend of our chapter and participate with understanding the pernicious nature of drowning and make your own contributions as to how we can knock those numbers down, particularly drowning at the home, as I mentioned to you earlier. And if you go up onto Club Runner, we are there at Club Runner. Our club number is 17319, so you can find us that way. You can also email our club president at gwsrc@gmail.com to request to become a friend of our water.
And before we say goodbye to our listeners, give us your website for Swim Strong one more time.
www.swim,
Rotarian
strongfoundation.org. Thank you.
Rotarian Sean Slevin, thank you for everything you do to prevent tragedies through drowning. And thanks for joining us today on Radio Rotary.
Thank you both, Jonah and Kathy. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah,
the pleasure
has
been
wonderful.
Entirely ours. And Kathy, who gives us the pleasure of sponsoring Radio Rotary this week?
Well, Radio Rotary, Jonah, is sponsored by the Mark Foundation, Norman Staffing, Hudson River Housing, and by the Rotary Clubs of New Paltz, Patterson, Pearl River, Pleasant Valley, Poughkeepsie, Arlington, Ramapo Valley, Red Hook, Rhinebeck, Southern Ulster, Suffern, Wallkill East, Wappinger Falls, Warwick Valley, and the Rotary E Club of District 7210.
For my co-host Kathy Kruger and our production director Randy Turner, this is Jonah Treebwasser thanking you for tuning in and inviting you to join us again next week at this very same time for another edition of Radio Rotary. And don't forget our website, radiorotary.org. Put on that Life Fest. So long, folks. See you next week.